Hello everyone, so this is my second tank. The third tank is over there, but it's not got anything in at the moment. It might. Shh, don't say anything. Right, so this is my second tank. It was the braiding tank, but now it's going to become something completely different. The idea with this tank is to show that you don't need posh gravel that's in the other tank, and you know, like real plants and stuff like that. I've got two plastic plants actually in the other tank that I need to put into this one, and that I think is removed them all. But anyway, so in this plant tank you have plastic plants, the coconut, more plastic plants. That's a volcanic, sorry, it's a coral rock. It basically alters the level of minerals in the water. You might work out why later, but that's what that's for. There's some of the Anubis that's been took a cutting and replanted onto a plastic, well, it's not plastic, it's what you use to make 3D model things. The tray thing I mentioned before, this you put in your fridge actually, and you put chocolate biscuits in, something like that, who knows. Anyway, so it's in there. It's got some Anubis fastened to it so that the Anubis doesn't go into the roots. Sorry, the stem doesn't go into the root, into the soil. Not that there's any soil. There's big chunky gravel. There's some more Anubis glued to this rock. Some moss growing on there. Some moss ball there. There's a moss ball at the back. Some more plastic plants. Basically, this is going to be my, alright, let's see what you can do with some basic stuff without knowing what to do, without getting too complicated. In here I did have a filter, you know, like a power head filter in there. I've just took it out, that's why everything looks a little bit floaty. But there's a thingy, a sponge filter at the back. I'm just monitoring the temperature at the moment because I want to try something later. It's at 30 odd degrees, or in Fahrenheit, which is like 3 countries on the planet use, it's about 70 odd, mid-green. It's in the green, you know, tropical aquarium temperature thing. That's alright. Slightly colder than the other tank. I don't want me endless to braid like crazy. But in here you'll find snails. Yay, snails. I hated snails when I was younger. In my 20s I hated them in my tanks. But they actually keep the glass really clean. There's like no algae in here. There is, but you know what I mean, it's not covering the glass completely, which is always good. And the shells look different to the ones in the other tank because of, well, there's a higher mineral content in the water. Our water around here doesn't have a very high mineral content compared to like my sister's house or my dad's house, which does. So they have a bajillion shrimps. They're like, I've got no shrimps in me tank, and I'm pointing out loads of them, and they're like, oh, didn't see them. Anyway, not that I'm complaining. So in here we've got a bit of moss and algae growing on everything. All the plastic plants are becoming, you know, took over by that. In here you have a few survivors from the great shop take. Some endlers, male and female, just like leftovers. You'll see a coral, what's it called? A koi swordtail. And you'll actually see some little red swordtails. These are actually my dad's lot. He bred these, so they're in my tank. The idea is to get them, hopefully, to breed with him and have some more swordtails. If for whatever reason he, don't want to say this, underperforms, they'll go into the big tank where the other two swordtails are. I think he'll be alright, but I don't know if these will actually. I don't think they'll go with him. He seems to be. And I keep him in here with the endlers and guppies because he motivates them to breed. He motivates the males because he's always hanging around the big females. So all the endler males get it on, shall we say, and go, no, We have to have the babies, not you. I've left this plant, don't ask because I can't remember, what is actually still in its little like sponge wrap you get when you get them in pet shops. I just put it in a tiny little plant pot. There's actually there's a tiny bit of soil in there, but it's not a lot. That'll change hopefully in the next day or two. I have plans to change the bottom of this tank. And also in here, you might have seen them swimming around. There are some peppered corys. Now, as far as I know, they are peppered corys as in peppered corys, but they could be the one that looks similar to peppered corys and they're called peppered corys, but they're not peppered corys. But I don't know the Latin difference, so I'm just going to call them peppered corys. There's about 6 or 8 of them in here somewhere. And because the camera's on, you will not see them. But when the camera's not on, they're all over the place. They could be hiding anywhere. They're always out, but just like children and dogs and other pets, when you want them to do something, they won't. Yeah. Anyway, so that's them, and you can see some babies, more babies, and more babies. The floating plants are held into this corner. Now, you've noticed that both floating plants have these, are being held up by these tubes. Well, actually, they're just, have I got any line about? You know, air tubing. It's all it is, fastened together at the other end with one of the little adapters that you get. Because you could go and buy a ring, but if you've got loads of bits of random air tubing, just use it to corral the plants. And obviously they're here where there's no real plants, so all the real plants get the light from the tank. I need to top this water up, but that's this tank now. I've took the big pump out because when I had more guppies and endlers in there, I needed to, you know, clean it more because there was too many. But now there's still a lot, but it'll change, trust me. There's a reason why I've took it out. I want to mess with the gravel a bit. This gravel is just, well, this is actually yard gravel, the gravel that you put in your yards and your driveways and things. It's obviously been washed a couple of times, quite a few times. Oh, there's a peppered cory, right? So that's a smaller one. There's about 5 small ones and 3 larger ones. They were bought at different times, but they're the same fish and the same pet shop. So yeah, the gravel's going to be changed. Well, mixed up. I'm going to mix this gravel up with a different gravel, which you'll see when I do it. And ideally, they're going to make it easier to experiment with. But in this plant, I'm going to try and keep it very simple and not try anything overly complicated. And as for the floating plants, you can see that they're growing. They've fired off an offshoot and another one. And these are obviously from the other tank where I get all my floating plants. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, just thought I'd show you what this tank's been up to. There's a couple more of them now. You can see one from back and one at the front. I just haven't been too well to do stuff, so everything's a bit behind on projects and money and all that. Anyway, so yeah, that stone is in there for mineral content. I thought about putting it in the big tank, but if I did that I'd overcommit and I'd have to start putting that, like what I want to do, in the big tank. But I think the big tank will be better with just the mollies and the aspidoras, where I want to keep the corys in here. Now people are going to say, oh, your corys, there's big gravel, they'll damage the barbels, you know, the little feelers, tentacles on the end of their mouth. No, they don't come from perfectly soft sand area. And most of them are bred in captivity anyway. But if you look, there's nothing wrong with the barbels because you don't have stupidly sharp gravel. You have gravel, but you don't put like bits of glass in and water erosion on the gravel and, you know, things like that. They're fine. You don't have to go out of your way. I mean, obviously, if you put really stupidly sharp stuff in there, yeah. But your average gravel's fine for corries. And are they attacking us? Yeah, I'm not sure of that. So yeah, I wouldn't overly worry too much about your fish. And like obviously, if you take basic care of them, they're fine. Don't go crazy. But then don't buy fish that are expensive. If you start on, I'm on one now, aren't I? If it's one of your first tanks, or you haven't got a lot of money, don't buy expensive corries. Buy the ones that are like £3 or £4 each, maybe £5 each, rather than the ones that are like £40 each. Don't do that, because if they die on you, well, you've lost a couple of quid. But if your 40 quid ones die, you've lost a lot. Like guppies and endlers, you can get some gorgeous guppies and endlers that are stupidly priced. I don't mean that in a bad way, but compared to these things that are not very expensive. And while I do like the expensive ones, if you're going to breed them, fair enough. If you just want them in your tank, that's fine. But they are expensive, but they do look nice. But you have to be careful with them. Anyway, that's it. An 11-minute waffle. So I shall leave you for now and catch you all later. Bye.